I really want to distinguish between motivation and actually what we refer to as willingness. So motivation is honestly an emotion like any other emotion, but it is an emotion that is going to ebb and flow. Interestingly enough, most people tend to talk about motivation as if it's something that we're supposed to feel anytime we're doing something that we don't want to do. So having an expectation that you should feel motivated in order to do the workout doesn't really work. If we're only waiting for motivation to do things that are hard to do, we're going to be waiting a pretty long time. So what I want to ask you to shift to is to cultivating willingness. Willingness implies an openness to come into contact with what is. And in this case, what we're talking about is basically a willingness to come into contact with that feeling of, I don't want to do it, which we refer to as willfulness in the cognitive behavioral therapy world. So if you're feeling willful, again, meaning you don't want to do the workout, you can feel that way and still do the workout. You can still cultivate willingness. And one of the easiest ways I find to do this is to basically link it to something important to you. But if you can access whatever value and whatever feeling is affiliated with that value in a moment of willfulness, of not wanting to do the workout, you can say to yourself, look, I acknowledge I don't want to do this. I'm not really feeling in the mood. And this is really important to me. Am I willing to feel uncomfortable, to put this effort in? Effort's always uncomfortable. In the service of my value, you're more likely to follow through with the behavior that you're trying to do.
The first one is work smarter, not harder. More technical term for that would be engage in a bit of behavioral engineering and instead of using brute force to try to accomplish your goal. Focus on the initiation. Usually it's starting an activity that is the most difficult. So if you want to go for a run, set out your clothes the night before, get them all ready, set your alarm clock. If you have trouble waking up with your alarm clock, put your alarm clock across the room so that it gets you out of bed. Your clothes are right there, you put them on and you walk out the door. Eliminating the barriers to initiation can have a huge impact on whether or not we engage in an activity. Second tip in behavioral engineering is to start small, to work your way up to your goal. So if your goal is to go for a walk every day in the morning and you've done the thing I said before, you've set your clothes out in the morning and then you get out the door, maybe just getting out the door is the first day and you walk back in, you have your coffee and you go on with your day. The next day you walk a couple hundred yards. If every day you're doing a small thing towards your ultimate goal, it's a lot easier than you think, oh my gosh, I need to be a runner, or oh my gosh, I need to walk so much every day. So start small, focus on the initiation, give yourself easily achievable goals and just do it every day or most days so that you can feel yourself moving towards your goal. We are not solitary animals. We are social animals. There's a psychologist out of Northeastern University who wrote a book, Emotional Success, The Power of Gratitude, Compassion, and Pride. And in it, he argues that, based on his research of decades, that when we rely on just our self-control and our willpower, we're really missing the boat, because the things that we engage in long-term are the things that have the support of community. And so if we join that CrossFit gym and we have that group of people who cheers us on and whom we take pride in their successes as well as our own, we're much more likely to stay with a change in behavior. So we can make short-term changes in the using willpower, but to make long-term sustained changes that are more part of our lives and our lifestyle, we need the community to support it.
So first, set your goals. It sounds simple, right? But a lot of people like to set outcome goals, but not process goals. What we want is process goals. Outcome goals would be, I want to be able to run a 10K. But then if you have not been running, it's really hard to be motivated it doesn't seem easy to get to. So what you want to do is to set process goals. Okay, so what is the process each month that you will need to get to that goal? So maybe for this month, I want to be able to run at least 3 miles by the end of this month. You can set it an easy goal, just wearing your running shoes and get out of your house. Number 2, after you set those goals, keep track on those. There are so many people set good goals, but they don't keep track of them. So something that I do, and I ask my athletes to do, is having a journal, or even better, a habit checker. So I list many different goals that I want to do either every single day, every other day, or every week. The good thing is that you can see the whole month how you are doing. If you miss one day, fine, I'm gonna pick it up again next day. Try to not miss more than 2 days in a row is my general recommendation and what the research says as well. Accountability buddy. We know that we are social beings. So what I normally would like to do is actually finding people to run with me, to work out with me every other day or every week or however frequent you want it to be. So maybe there should be a person who have similar goals as you. Maybe you want to run a 10K, your buddy may want to run a 5K, 10K, half marathon. At least the goals are similar. And then you share your goals with one another. And then every week you do a check-in to see, okay, last week you told me that you were gonna run 10 miles this week. How much did you run?
And so there are 3 top things that we often see that play a part in that lack of commitment. Number 1 is time. That is always the biggest thing that comes into play when you're talking about why people often cannot commit to their fitness goals. Number 2 is feeling that you need to have your results instantly. And what do we call that? We call that instant gratification. And then number 3, oftentimes people struggle with holding themselves accountable. They struggle with being held committed to their own goals. And so how do we counter that? Number 1, time. I often tell my patients, you have to find what works for you. There's no routine that is cookie cutter, right? So with that, that means that you have to figure out what is your approach. Some people find that they work out better in the morning. Some people find that they work out better in the evening. Some people find that it works out better when they implement it into their work schedule. Why did I say that? Because there are 24 hours in a day. At some point, you have the ability to do something that allows you to feel as if you're moving toward your fitness goals. Number 2, talking about wanting to see those results, wanting to celebrate. So how do you counter that instant gratification? Well, you use what I call successive approximation. And what is that? Well, that teaches you to celebrate the small steps as you move along. So maybe you're looking to lose those 10 pounds and you just don't see it working right now, not as quickly as you would hope for. But with successive approximation, you can celebrate the fact that you're getting up, dressing up, and even going to the gym and showing up, right? That's worthy of celebrating. And then number 3, talking about that accountability. Well, here's the thing. It's always good to have an accountability partner, someone that can help hold you accountable for your own fitness goals, someone that can remind you of where you want to be with your own fitness.
Internal locus of control means that you're inwardly guided and you're not blaming outside things for your failure to take responsibility. A person that adopts an external locus of control might say, you know what? Look at all the stuff that's happening in the world. I can't possibly find the motivation under these conditions to work out. Those are examples of statements you might hear from somebody that has an external locus of control. An optimistic person has an internal locus of control, and in case of the gym, that might be reflected in a statement such as, let's do this. Tip number 2, strive for balance. Don't be that guy or that girl that overworks and does not take the time to relax, to rejuvenate, to restore the torn down muscle fibers. It's all about balance. Tip number 3, avoid stress eating, avoid stress drinking. Now, stress eating starts with a fantasy. It starts within the imagination. You imagine that junk food that you most admire and how it might offer you comfort. But what I'd like to invite you to do is to replace the food fantasy with a fitness fantasy. That's right. Imagine yourself shrinking to fit into those tight-fitting jeans of yours, or being on the beach showing off those abs. But it's not all about appearance, it's about health more than anything. And there's never been a time where we need to be more health conscious than now.
People are motivated to do something for a payoff. There has to be something that they're getting or gaining from doing an activity. And so the first thing is physical. So a lot of times people work out, or it has been my experience that people work out because they want to change their physical appearance. Maybe they want to lose weight, or maybe they want to gain muscle, or maybe they want to do both. And so once they start doing it and they start seeing that the weight is dropping, or that they can actually see muscles, then they start to do more of it to get the effect of it. So they start working out maybe just to lose weight, but then they continue to work out, or they stay motivated to work out because they like how their clothes fit and how their body continues to look even after they continue to work out. The other reason why people stay motivated to work out is more of a mental, or I would say mental internal type of motivation. So for instance, people who are highly anxious, in my experience, have felt a lot better when they exercise. And we know that exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins make you feel good. And so if you're stressed or you're anxious and you work out, or there's like this feeling that you want to continue to receive, so you continue to do those things that give you that feeling. People work out for physical reasons. They're motivated from a physical standpoint because they like the results of working out and how it makes their body look or even feel. And then people continue to work out or stay motivated to work out from a mental standpoint. They are trying to reduce stress or reduce anxiety, or not be as anxious, or not be as stressed, or not be as depressed. And so they work out to keep those things from either coming on or to rid themselves of those things.
I think it's a good starting point when we visualize kind of an ideal future of ourselves, which is kind of number one, is visualizing the ideal. They followed these tennis players for a while. What they did is they took all 4 tennis players and they split them up into 2 categories, where in the control, they just told the tennis players, keep doing what you're doing, train as much as you can. The other 2 tennis players, they were simply told to visualize what your performance would be, visualize how you will hit the ball, visualize how your body angle will be, visualize things of that nature. Believe it or not, the individuals who visualized how they're going to hit the ball, how their body's going to be, interestingly enough, they outperformed those who just worked day and night to better their form. Attempt to compare yourself less to others and more of your previous self. So look at your yesterday self, compare yourself to today, 1% better each day. It's a lot of improvement per year. This one's called morale building. So pretty often you see a lot of people that go to the gym or working out. They do a lot better when they work with a partner or with a group of people or some sort of instructor, and to help motivate them. I remember one of my first social psychology courses. I'll never forget the study, and I use it all the time with my clients in mental health, as well as just for myself. And what they did was they took maybe 5 or 10 bike riders, and they had each of them race around a track. And then they had someone with a stopwatch. And once others on the bike track learned each other's times, it kind of turned into a little bit of a competition. They noticed that people's times were going faster on their second go around. Just with that one particular experiment shows a little bit of an idea of how far people can really go to stay motivated, to develop motivation, and to build on it using each other.